Just, All right, hello everybody, and welcome to this webinar event for Transfer Big and Small. We're very excited to have you here. Just a couple of housekeeping notes before I turn things over to your wonderful panelists today. As a reminder, there are many, many more sessions that will be happening as part of the VACRAO college exploration that's happening over the next few weeks. So make sure you sign up for some more sessions, and the address to do so is on the slide. Also, if you are wanting to review anything that is said today later on, or if you want to share the information that you have learned, there will be a recording available on the StriveScan website. As a reminder, your camera and your microphone are both going to be off for the duration. We are in a Zoom webinar today. So if there is anything that you would like to ask our panelists, please utilize the Q&A button and feel free to send any and all questions that you have over to them. So I will turn things over to Jared, who will kick things off with the rest of your presenters.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'm going to get this shared and we're going to go ahead and begin. So we've got a wonderful panel put together for you. We thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We hope that you're staying safe and healthy wherever you're joining us from. But we thought it might be a great idea to represent some of the big strengths in terms of institutions here in Southwest Virginia, bringing together two four-year institutions specifically who are different from each other in many ways, Virginia Tech and Bluefield College, but who also share a lot of similarities in terms of their commitment, especially to transfer students. And we thought it would be great to bring in one of our close partners in New River Community College to highlight kind of that Virginia Community College side and to showcase a lot of the strengths of transferring from a Virginia Community College. So we're going to do some quick introductions and then get started with the content. Again, I'm Jared Delaney, Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admissions at Virginia Tech. It's my privilege to work with transfer students throughout the admissions process, oversee many of our transfer-related admissions initiatives. So I'm happy to work with you. If you have any questions about navigating that transfer process, I'm happy to help you out. So thanks again so much, and I'll hand it over to Emily.
Thanks so much, Jared. Like Jared said, my name is Emily Coppola. I am the Transfer and International Admissions Counselor here at Bluefield College. I'm very excited to have this opportunity to kind of touch base with everyone, whether you are joining us live or if you're watching the recording later on. If you're a transfer student or if you're an international student coming to Bluefield, you're going to be dealing with me, and I'm more than happy to help you out with that process. But I'll get into all the nitty-gritty a little bit later. I'm going to let Allison go ahead and take the reins now.
Thank you so much, Emily. I'm Allison Weston, and I'm the Enrollment Manager and Transfer Services Coordinator at New River Community College. A big part of what I do is I'm essentially the admissions counselor for New River. So I get to do a little bit of the admissions piece, but then also as the transfer services coordinator, I'm helping students through the college search process, with applications and on selecting their transfer destination. So I'm going to kick it back over to Jared to get started.
All right, well, thanks to both of you, Emily and Allison. So we're going to go ahead and get started by introducing our institutions to you, talk a little bit more about the transfer opportunities and resources that we have available. So let's go ahead and get into Virginia Tech, of course, who I'll be talking about. So for those of you who aren't necessarily familiar, although you may be, Virginia Tech is located in Blacksburg, Virginia, in Southwest Virginia. You can see pinpointed right there on the map of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have 34,000 total students, so a large research institution here in Southwest Virginia. Graduate and undergraduate enrollment on our campus. The campus spans 230 acres, meaning that it is a big place. But what I find is that it's a great mix of big and small, especially in terms of thinking about navigability, having a lot of options, a lot of buildings, but easy to find your way around, easy to get to, lots of open green spaces, lots of cool little nooks and crannies to explore. So absolutely a beautiful, beautiful space that hosts our university. In terms of thinking about academics, we have over 90 transfer majors, so a huge array of academic diversity. When you look at the ways you can even further kind of specify and kind of make concentrations in your degree program, it's more than 200 options available for you to earn a really cool Virginia Tech Tech degree, and 180 plus graduate options. So if you want to go on and continue your studies at the graduate level, master's program, PhD program, you can do that as well. Now, outside of the classroom, over 900 clubs and organizations. So anything that you like to do for fun, anything that you have as a hobby or as an interest, you can continue that at Virginia Tech, or expand your horizons and try something new. It's a great way to meet new folks, try new things. For instance, I learned to scuba dive for the first time at Virginia Tech, which you might not think about doing in Southwest Virginia quite so much. But just really cool options for connecting and for making the most of your time in college. So top rated student life and dining to go with that. I always like to throw in dining because I tell folks that my favorite aspect about going to Virginia Tech was the food. I'm not bashful about saying that. The food is that good. So we hope that you will get to share that at some point. Division I in all major men's and women's NCAA athletics too, which obviously draw our campus together, bring in the community. Lots of great fun related around sports and intramural sports and club sports for those not competing at the varsity level as well. Now, thinking about transfer specifically, the entering cohort of transfers that we're bringing in who are just getting started on campus is about 1,250 students, which is our largest transfer cohort ever. And for the past 2 years consecutively, we brought in the largest transfer cohorts. So it is a great time to be thinking about transferring to Virginia Tech and thinking about making that move. In fact, about 1 in 6 students who earns a Virginia Tech degree began as a transfer student on campus, which is a pretty cool statistic. So I talked a little bit about academics, and I don't have too long to kind of drone on about all the different majors. I'd love to tell you about each and every one of them, but just want to highlight the academic diversity piece again. These are the groupings of our majors, what we call our academic colleges. And so you can see there's definitely something for everyone, whether you're looking to study agriculture, architecture, engineering, one of the almost 40 programs in our College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, the #1 college in natural resources in the whole country. Fantastic Pamplin College of Business that's top rated as well. Huge College of Science, and I talked about those graduate options as well. So plenty of academic diversity. Encourage you to check out the website to learn more about the majors. Now this slide is packed with a lot of information, but it is really important for thinking about some of the resources you can utilize to plan a successful transfer. Now, there's this myth out there, I think, in terms of students thinking about Virginia Tech and especially transferring, that you gotta have perfect grades. And if you don't have just an absolutely excellent GPA, then you're not going to be admitted. Well, I want to dispel that myth because the most important factor for transfer admission is actually that you're taking the right classes. Students are admitted with a really wide range of GPA. Don't get me wrong, grades are important, but we are looking for what classes that you have taken to make sure that you're going to be able to come in at a high level, prepared for upper level classes in your major, because we admit students directly into the major that they want to study at Virginia Tech. So we've created a resource to help you with planning and making sure you're building a strong schedule called our admissions transfer roadmaps. You can check those out from the link that you see right there on your screen or through your friendly search engine and navigating our website. But you can see that there's a roadmap for every single major. And it will tell you exactly what types of courses you need to take to present a competitive application. Now, you got to think about credits, right? And your credits and credit equivalency, that's an important part of navigating the transfer process. And so our registrar's office puts together a great resource called the Transfer Guide, where you can look up the data for all of the coursework that you've taken. If you're a Virginia community college student, check out the VCCS database, where it actually has all of the equivalency information about how each class is going to transfer. If you're studying at another school, whether it's another 2-year school or a 4-year school in or out of the state of Virginia, around the country, around the world, you can check out that transfer equivalency database to look up known equivalency information for your respective institution. If for some reason there's limited data or not very much data about classes or kind of overall, that roadmaps page will also help you out with telling you what to do in that situation, how to navigate that issue. You can also check out AP scores, IB scores, CLEP scores, those types of things that are needed to provide credit for individual classes. So just an absolutely fantastic resource for you to use. I want to emphasize that our transfer students take part in all kinds of really great programming, but we have some transfer specific options. So once you make that transition to Virginia Tech, transfer student organization, a living learning community, full of transfer students. So if you want to live on campus as a transfer, you do have that option. There is a high demand and space is limited, but you can live and learn with other transfer students on campus. Peer mentor program to help you, especially in those crucial transition weeks as you adjust and become a new transfer student on campus. Class, honor society, all kinds of great stuff. So you can check out the website to learn more. Want to highlight that a lot of this stuff and a lot more is going to be hosted right on our transfer admissions homepage. So that is a great place for you to check out. That is the link right there. If you just type in the search bar and any search engine, Virginia Tech transfer should take you right to that page. Now, deadline information is very important. So if you're thinking about applying, you got to know when to do that. So here are the deadlines for thinking about spring transfer or for thinking about summer and fall transfer. See what that looks like. You can see what the notification timelines look like. You can actually check out each of those majors and see which ones are available for each entry term at a convenient website right there, hosted again right on our transfer site too. These are the deadlines for domestic and international students, and there is a helpful checklist that I always point students towards. If you're applying, you start that out. You want something to kind of walk you through step by step, making sure that you get everything done that you need to do, check out that transfer application checklist. All transfer applications to Virginia Tech are hosted through the Common app, so that is the platform that you will use. And students will also complete a self-reported academic record that takes the place of sending us your transcripts. So we don't use transcripts in the admissions process. You'll actually tell us about the courses you've taken and the grades that you have earned. So here's just a quick snapshot of what the cost looks like for Virginia Tech in terms of a yearly rate, in-state tuition fees, and room and board, and out-of-state if you're joining us from outside of Virginia. The good news is that there are scholarships and financial aid available to help you pay for school. It is important to be aware of some of those deadlines, which actually may precede the latest application deadline. This is especially true for our summer and fall applicants, because while you have until March 1st to submit an admissions application, the scholarship deadline is actually in January. So we encourage you to apply early. Get in touch with us if you have questions about navigating that process. Want to make sure that you can apply for everything that you want to, be eligible for all the different sources of institutional money. Another key piece of that is doing the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, making sure that's updated for this academic year, making sure Virginia Tech is included in your FAFSA if you're going to be applying to Virginia Tech. So that way you can be eligible for the most sources of scholarships and financial aid possible. Now, in wrapping things up, I just wanted to highlight maybe why students choose Virginia Tech. Besides all the cool things that I mentioned earlier, fantastic graduation rate compared to the national average. You can see great employment statistics that are offered by our Smith Career Center. And they're that way because we have an entire center on campus dedicated to professional development to help you work on those skills and get ready for that next step, whatever it looks like. Fantastic starting salary compared to institutions around the country. And what I think is my favorite statistic is over 90% retention rate for students. That's a fancy way of saying how many students come to Virginia Tech who come back after that first year. That's freshmen as well as transfer students. Over 90% compared to national averages, I think, that are in the 60s somewhere. And that's not because Virginia Tech is this one-size-fits-all experience that we've crafted. We know what everybody wants and we package it. Because we have so much diversity within the academic programs, within everything outside of the classroom. You're really able to make the university as big or as small as you want. Really customize that path for you. Find those spaces and places on campus where you're going to be happy and where you're going to be successful. So that is what I have. And I'll just say that you can follow us on our social media sites if you'd like to do that. Get in touch with us if you have any questions by email or phone. We have folks answering the phone and passing inquiries along to folks like me to help with transfer stuff. And again, I'll point you back to that transfer admissions homepage where you can see all of these resources and much more about navigating the transfer process. So that is it for me, and I will let Emily go ahead and tell us about Bluefield.
Thank you, Jared. That's an awesome presentation. So let me share my screen. Okay, cool. So like I said, I'm from Bluefield College. I'm glad to have this opportunity to talk with everybody. Bluefield College, which I'll get into a little bit, later is nestled right in the heart of the mountains. So it is a little different from some of your bigger schools like Virginia Tech, but that's really the whole reason we're doing this, isn't it? So I can talk you all through Bluefield and what you all can expect. So all of the photos here, these are some awesome shots from campus. Also, all of these photos are pre-COVID, so you see no one's wearing masks. They're all gathered together. It looks a little bit different now, but we're trying to do the best we can for everything to be normal. The bottom left shot, that's pretty much Bluefield College in a nutshell. That is our campus, or really the heart of our campus. We are only on 82 acres. But within those 82 acres, you will find that it really exceeds your expectations. The top right is our chapel, Harmon Chapel. We are a Christian institution, Baptist in tradition, but that does not mean that we require our students to be Christian or our students, if they are Christian, to be Baptist. So just a good example of that. All of our faculty and staff are Christians, but I am non-denominational. So that's a good example. I'm not Baptist and I still work here. But no matter what you are, we will welcome you with open arms at Bluefield, and we'd love to have you join us. Top left is one of our chapel services. So that's kind of what you can look forward to when you do explore chapel and get to know a little bit more about Bluefield. So a little bit about the Rams fam. Total, we are about 1,200 students. That is our dual enrollment, so high schoolers taking online courses, bachelor students, and graduate students. So that, like I said, encompasses all of us, whether you're online, whether you're on campus. 1,200, that's our max right now. So we represent 32 states, 16 countries. We do have a lot of international students. Most of them are athletes, but we do have some who aren't athletes as well. We have 40 plus bachelor programs, 6 pre-professional programs, a lot of sports, which you'll see just in a little bit. And our ratio for student to faculty is about 14:1. So the classes are a smaller setting, but you will see that you will really feel like a priority and not just maybe a tester grade, which you can really plug in with your professors. Just a good example, just as a staff member, when I go visit the cafeteria for lunch, I often sit with students for lunch because it's not like a staff and student kind of a clique scenario. We're all Rams. It's really a family at Bluefield. And like I said, we are a Christ-centered campus, community, and curriculum. I will reiterate that you do not have to be Christian to come to Bluefield, but you will experience Christ's love in one way or another. So we do also have, like I said, graduate programs, including pre-law, pre-medical. I'll show everyone all of the programs just in a little bit, but we are NAIA Division I, Mid-South Conference, and Appalachian Athletic Conference if sports is your thing. So transferring to BC, it sounds a little complicated, but it's a lot easier than it sounds. So all we will need for your things for you to submit is complete an application. You can follow that link to apply, and we will need your final official high school transcripts and all of your transcripts from all the institutions you've attended. So you have to, like I said, submit your final officials from all the institutions, but let's say you just filled out an application, you can send us an unofficial, and then I can work with that for admission. And then we can get your final officials later on. So what you really need to worry about at the beginning is just make sure you get that application fully filled out and get me your unofficials. Requirements for coming to Bluefield as a transfer, you only have to have a 2.0 GPA. Let's say your GPA is a little bit lower than that, 1.5 to a 2.0. I can take into consideration the situation you may have faced while you were studying at your previous institution, like what you were going through in your life at that point, what factors were really coming against you, and then I can send you to a provisional committee and they can make a decision for your acceptance upon that. Also, if you have 12 credits coming in as a transfer student, then we can work with those 12 credits and you'll be a transfer student, as I said. But if you're coming in as a transfer and you have less than 12, I will look more at your high school transcripts. Either way, I'd love to help you out and we can get the ball rolling for you. So for international students, the requirements are a little bit different. So yes, you still only have to have that 2.0 GPA. You will have to submit a English proficiency test, and we'll need your transcripts either evaluated by a service such as INCRED or professionally translated. Application's the same. We'll still need all your transcripts. Like I said, we can work with unofficials and then do officials from there. But just some examples for English proficiency, good grief, I can't talk, or Duolingo, some things like that. But let's say I have a conversation with you via WhatsApp or maybe a Zoom call, and I can see that your English is top notch and nothing to worry about, then we can exempt that through like a video interview format. Student life, we do have a lot going on our campus. Our students, whether they're commuters, whether they live on campus, even if they're online students, they're more than welcome to participate in our events. We do have several ministries on campus that students really plug into. Just for example, one of our student counselors, Mason, he is the leader of our student-led worship team. So you can really see that students aren't just coming and going to say, come to class and then leave. They're really plugging in and making a difference on campus. We also have intramurals if you're interested in playing sport, but maybe you don't want to actually be on a team. We have Greek organizations, and you can see all of our different clubs. We've got SGA, SALT, if you're in outdoors, art. We've really got a lot of different options. And we also offer the opportunity, if you're super interested in something and you want to see it on campus, then we'd be more than glad to help you get that started. So this is just an example of some room charges. I wanted to show all of this just so you can get an idea. Our tuition, of course, for the year is right around $25,000. And then it's broken down by semester. But I wanted you to look at all of the different residence halls we have options for. So we have men's residency halls, women's residency halls. We don't have co-ed living unless you are in the apartments. Then the apartments, since you are presumably a little bit older, you can room with people of the same gender, but there will be mixed genders in the building as a whole. But cottages are typically for married couples, but COVID, things can be a little bit different. Let's say you want a private room just for that kind of peace of mind. We'd be glad to help you out with that. Just be aware that you will have to fill out your housing and commuter contract closer to applying when you do that. But like I said, we'd be glad to help you out, and I'd love to help facilitate that for you. So these are just some ways you can connect with us. Please feel free to contact us. We've got some awesome people on our social media team. Or if you just like to reach out to me directly, I'd love to talk to you. One of my favorite things about being an admissions counselor is that I really get to build a connection with my students. They're not just transactional interactions, but they're really personal. I can know my students on a first name basis. Sometimes I have students that reach out to me. They just want to know how I am. We really just get to kind of catch up and really, like I said, build those connections. Another good example, Mason, like I was mentioning earlier, he and I met at an event we were both working on campus, and I offered him the position to be my student counselor. So the sky's really the limit at Bluefield. We are a small school, but we've got big school opportunities. Let's say you wanted to maybe get that big city feel. We're not too far from bigger cities, maybe an hour and a half at the most. But Bluefield's really got the opportunity for you to focus in on your studies, make those connections that will last you a lifetime. And like I said before, the sky's the limit at Bluefield. But thank y'all for listening in. I'm going to let Allison take the reins now and go from there.
Make sure you unmute yourself, Allison.
There we go. Thank you so much, Jared and Emily. One of the things that kept coming back to me as I heard, both of you sharing is that no two transfer students look alike. And I think that's one of the things that's beautiful about the transfer process and what a community college can offer you and what other four-year institutions can offer you. It is that personalization, because we recognize that. We recognize that no two of you have the same academic profile. So I want to talk to you a little bit about New River Community College and starting your transfer journey at a community college, or maybe you started your journey at another four-year institution and you found yourself back in the community college system. So just a kind of an outline of New River Community College. We are located in Dublin, Virginia. And Dublin is about 25 minutes from Virginia Tech, just kind of for a little bit of comparison there. But we have a second campus in Christiansburg, Virginia, which is located in the New River Valley Mall. It's called our Uptown campus. And so many of the students who are interested in Virginia Tech actually end up attending there. We have an enrollment of about 4,500 students, and as Emily mentioned, we have some dual enrollment students here at New River Community College too, so that encompasses them. But then additionally, that includes some students who are, especially in this day and age, completing their education online. So we have online students and then of course some face-to-face as well. So that number, that 4,500, you won't necessarily see all of them on campus at the same time. That's kind of what I'm getting at there. So it's not quite going to quite look like the drill field at the time of class change at Virginia Tech, but then we still have a few more students than Bluefield too. So we are part of the Virginia Community College System, or the VCCS. And so basically what that means is we are connected with all the Virginia community colleges in the state of Virginia. There's actually 23 of us. And that 23 does not even include the little side campuses that we have, for example, like the mall campus that I mentioned. So, if you are in the Richmond area, if you're in the Northern Virginia area, the Tidewater area, and you've maybe taken some dual enrollment in high school, those courses, if they were within the Virginia Community College System, we share all of those records, which is great. And that also helps us on the transfer services end of things, really get a full picture of everything you're bringing to the table, so that we can see what of your courses are going to transfer to your four-year destination. And then affordability, let's just go ahead and touch that one really quick. We are a very affordable option for students, and that's many times why students may choose to transfer or come to New River or to any Virginia Community College for that matter. So our tuition for a semester, this is based on 15 credit hours, which is a healthy full-time load for a student to be taking in a semester, is going to be $23.48.25. If you wanted to pay per credit hour and get down to the dollars and cents, we're right at $156.55 a credit hour. So for the year, what you're looking at before any kind of books or anything like that is going to be about $4,700 per year. And who are our students? Because they're not all just fresh high school graduates that maybe you would think of. Some of them are. And so when we consider our community, we consider the locals in our community. So maybe they are fresh, recent high school graduates, but we also see a lot of adult learners coming back to New River and to in the Virginia Community College System at large. So those may be locals who had one career and maybe they've decided that they want to change things up a little bit, or they want to try to get a new job. So we'll see them. I want to also plug that many times, not only are we affordable, but many times students from our service region will choose New River because of our ACE program. And ACE stands for, goodness, I'm so sorry. ACE stands for Access to Community College Education. And that program is what many people sometimes call free community college. Now, free doesn't necessarily mean free. Somebody's paying your bill, but that means you're not paying that bill. So if you do have questions about the ACE program, please let me know, and we can talk a little bit more about that at another time. We also see four-year students coming through our doors, whether that is to pick up a full semester of classes, a summer class, or just a class here and there in the spring and fall semester. And that could be for a variety of reasons. Being, like I said, Virginia Tech is just about 25 minutes up the road from our Dublin campus and about 5 minutes from our Christiansburg campus. Another four-year college in the area is Radford University. And so they're about 10 minutes from our Dublin campus. And so let's say a student, might be struggling in a certain subject area, or they need to pick up a prerequisite for another four-year college course. they will come pick that up with us. And so we do see a lot of that. And in the same vein, we see internationals for the same reason. We'll see international students that may have a four-year destination in mind, but maybe they weren't admitted straight out the gate. They'll come to New River Community College to brush up on their English skills and other skills, and build a portfolio, and so that they're more competitive for four-year admission in the spaces that they want to attend. As far as the transfer programs that we have, and I'll preface this by saying these are transfer programs that can be completed, and you can earn an associate's degree, but as Emily and Jared both shared, completion is not required to transfer to a four-year institution. So we work with you to see where you are, how close you are to completion, and of course we want you to stay with us and complete an associate's degree if you'd like, but it's not a requirement. So business administration, education, engineering, the list goes on, you can read there. We do have a couple of specializations, and since I have, Virginia Tech on the panel with us, I'll just mention, for example, engineering here. You're going to go into Virginia Tech as a general engineering major, and that is what our engineering associate's degree prepares you for. However, if you're interested specifically in computer science, we have a specialization for that. And as you can see, there's a couple of other areas like that too. General studies is, well, general. But if you know that you want to go to a school that has a strong arts program, or you think communication design might be in your wheelhouse, then we have areas where you can specialize on things like that. All right, in the admissions process, it's pretty straightforward. Our application is free of charge. So all you need to do is go online and initiate that admissions application. I mentioned earlier dual enrollment. And if you have taken dual enrollment within the Virginia Community College system, you're in our system. So you already have a student ID number, and connect with us before you go ahead and submit an application, because you may need to connect your records, or you may not even need to apply at all. And that just makes it that much easier, right? We are an open enrollment institution. So I want to add that we won't turn you away. However, we do need to assess your course placement. And so that means that we need to either look at your high school transcripts, or we either need to see some test scores. Now, test scores are not required. The high school transcript, though, is going to be required. We're going to have to look at that. But we're going to be looking at your GPA, and in particular, what math courses that you took in high school, because we don't want to put you in classes your first semester that you're not ready for. And we also don't want to put you in classes that aren't challenging enough. So that's really what we're looking at that for. And I won't bore you with reading off the ranges there, but we're going to look at the reading and writing score in English and math to make those assessment placements, whether it's on the transcript or whether it is an official test score from SAT or ACT. And just some reasons to choose. I'll go over these pretty quickly because I feel like we've already made a lot of these points, but you're going to save a lot of money by choosing to attend a community college. And that's one of the biggest reasons that individuals usually consider us. But it also gives you a little bit more time to decide. The decisions that you're making right now are big decisions. And when you think about, relocating, or you think about, going to a college for the next 4 years, and well, Jared mentioned how great the food is at Virginia Tech, but you're going to be eating that food for 4 years. You may want to think about that just a little bit more. And so we kind of give you that time to understand the rigor of college curriculum, but also really make sure that you're making the best choice for you. And additionally, polish up your skills. Maybe coming out of high school, you weren't, the most competitive. Maybe you hit a rough spot. This gives you that kind of second chance. Because what's great about college is you start with a 0.0 GPA. So if your first semester you make all A's, you're that 4.0 student. And you may be that 4.0 student that you never thought you could be. So think about polishing yourself up and just making yourself a more competitive applicant. For those of you who have taken dual enrollment classes or maybe any kind of AP or IB courses, you can potentially get your associate's degree in 1 year. And again, like I said, many people choose community college for the affordability factor. And additionally, on top of the affordability, we can help you look at some other transfer scholarship opportunities as well. And if you need help with transfer, I don't know, if you're going to call the Ghostbusters for that one, but know that at New River Community College, you can call me, because that's literally my entire job as the enrollment manager and transfer services coordinator. There's a variety of things that I can help you with. Of course, the application for one to us, but to four-year colleges and all the things that go along with that. The selection process, the course selection process prior to even applying. Jared mentioned how important it is that you choose rigorous courses that are related to your program of study. So be thinking about that. And then also get all the things that go along with those applications, like your essays. How are you going to talk about yourself? What are you going to draw out of the community college and high school experience that you've had that's going to be helpful for you? And then letters of recommendation. I can also help you track down the best faculty and staff to portray you on your application. And that's all I've got for you. So I'm going to stop my screen share. And I think what we'll do is we'll check the Q&A here. It doesn't look like we have had any questions come in at this time. But it would be a great time for those of you, if you have anything that you have questions about, or to put that in the chat box. I'll also open it back up for Jared and Emily to elaborate on anything that that they think maybe we haven't covered.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Allison and Emily, for walking us through that. I think for those of you who are listening, you heard a lot of great points about some of the great opportunities that our respective institutions offer, depending on your path, the journey that you want to take in terms of getting to our institutions. I'll emphasize what Allison noted too, that many of the things that she covered are completely applicable to other Virginia Community College institutions. So you think about maybe you're deciding to go to one a little bit closer to home, or you're already at another VCCS site. Many of the resources that she shared are available to you. And there's somebody probably like Allison, similar, or maybe a team of folks at some of the campuses there to help you with navigating the transfer process. Whether you're looking for, Virginia Tech, or whether you're looking for a place like Bluefield College, or somewhere else around the state, or even outside of the state, in terms of thinking about a transfer. So I don't know if there are any other questions. If anybody has a question, feel free to type it up in the box. We'll be taking those. We got about, looks like about 7 or 8 minutes left. So if there is anything, feel free to go ahead and type that out, and we'll respond in real time. I had one that came to mind that I thought maybe would be good for us to address. And thinking about Allison, and thinking about a VCCS student or somebody who's considering the transfer route and maybe going to Virginia Community College, how does a place like New River Community College help a student with thinking about which degree program to enroll in or what to complete in terms of matching them up with their goals if they say, hey, I want to transfer to a place like Virginia Tech or a place like Bluefield?
Well, that's a wonderful question, and that's actually something I've been thinking about a lot lately. In trying to do for new incoming students for the next year, as the landscape looks a little bit different. We identify students as soon as they come in the door, because as we've mentioned, transfer may not always be after 2 years. It could be after 1 year. It could be after a semester, just depending on what you're bringing to the table. And so we identify those students when they come in the door with a survey of just their interests. They fill that out as part of our orientation. And so as soon as a student indicates, yes, I want to transfer, or even if, for example, they indicate, I want to be a veterinarian. Well, we know that is a career field that requires advanced study. And so we know that they're going to need more than we have to offer. And so we're preparing them for a bachelor's degree and beyond. So it is at that point that we identify students as on a transfer pathway and begin to work with them. And all of our advisors are able to do that, not just myself. I typically handle the more specific course-related questions or things that are related to, applications and that kind of stuff. But all of our advisors identify that and guide you toward the right program of study for your goals.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing that, Allison. I think I got another one that might be good for, oh, looks like somebody got a question in there in the chat. So the question is about guaranteed admissions, which I know is something that we all can speak to. And thinking about guaranteed admissions agreements for specific majors. And can a student transfer or change their major once they're admitted? So why don't we go to Emily first and see if Bluefield has any of those agreements that she wants to really quickly just kind of summarize or point students towards, and I can jump back in there and talking about it for Virginia Tech.
Sure, yeah, that sounds good. So let's say a student is coming in as an applied science major and they already have maybe an associate's in science or something along those lines. So just because they have that associate's does not mean that they are guaranteed admittance, but take that into consideration. Most of the students who are coming with an associate's, they already have put in a lot of their study hours, of course, and they've already worked very hard on their GPA. They already know what they want to do, and they're already focused and driven to go ahead and get their future started. So, I mean, that's really not a question for us to say, well, this student has an associate's, but they really haven't been working very hard. But like Allison said earlier, it's a case-by-case basis with all of our students because all of our students are different people. So if a student comes in with that associate's, it's definitely going to help them. But if they want to come in, they have an associate's in X degree, they can absolutely come in, be admitted, and then change their major if they'd like to. We're not stopping them from that at all. So long answer short, no, it does not guarantee admittance, but it does certainly help them. It will help you in the long run, but you are free to change your major to whatever you would like. And if you don't know what you would like, then I'd be more than happy to walk a student through that, which is typically what I do. I sit with students, whether virtually or in person, talk them through their interests, see what would be best for them, or if they'd like to meet with the separate advisors, they can do that as well.
Thanks, Emily. And I'll just jump in really quick for Virginia Tech and say that we do maintain guaranteed admissions and articulation agreements with the Virginia Community College system. So there's agreements that apply to institutions like New River Community College. The short answer, and which is all we have time for here, is that there's a couple of different ones that apply to specific majors, but there is one that applies to every major that you can transfer into. They typically have GPA requirements and specific course requirements in terms of completing specific associate degrees and those kinds of things. But the good news is, as Allison indicated, students transfer completing an associate degree or sometimes not. Typically, we advise completion of the associate degree because for a lot of programs at Virginia Tech, as you heard about like engineering, that's the best possible pre-transfer preparation that you can do in terms of making that jump to a place like Virginia Tech. There are a few majors that we advise you transfer maybe a little bit earlier because we have some nuanced coursework that you can only take at Virginia Tech. In terms of thinking about then the kind of guarantee or being competitive for admission, that's why it's really important that you use the transfer resources that I talked about and that we have on the website, and making sure you're taking the right classes and that you're earning some good grades. Because if you're taking the right classes that prepare you specifically for your major, you're going to be able to present a very strong application and be very competitive for transfer admission into that program. So Allison, is there any little final thoughts you want to jump in and say about guaranteed admission and the agreements?
I think you did a great job at representing that, and that was when I mentioned when I had our programs of study up a second ago, and I noted that about engineering. That was exactly what I was kind of thinking about in my mind, was like specifically that those programs are designed for direct transfer into more competitive and more specific programs such as that. So computer science, any kind of design, those sorts of things. And that's going to be different from school to school. But that's the nice thing about you know, if you're thinking about transfer regionally, your regional community college is aware of that because they see a lot of students going to four-year institutions regionally. So, you know, maybe consider the community college that is most regional to your transfer destination. So.
Cool, and I think we're just about at time, so we're going to probably wrap it up on our end. Again, we hope that you'll reach out to us if you have specific questions. You had our contact info that you saw there. We're all on our respective institutions' transfer websites and pages, so thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks again. Thanks again to all of our folks who joined us for the session today, and a huge thanks to Jared, Emily, and Allison for their great presentation about transferring. As a quick end of the session note for all of our participants, there will be a quick survey when you close out, just so we want to know how we did and hear your feedback. And there are more sessions available again to sign up for at strivescan.com/Virginia. And if you want to review even more of this information later on, the recording will be available as well. So again, a huge thank you to our panelists, and thanks for joining us.